Hello, what's going on? Now, I've been wanting to shoot this video since I picked up the Panasonic Lumix G7 last weekend, and that is the reason why I bought the Panasonic Lumix G7 over all the other cameras out there in the roundabout price range and even a bit more expensive. Like, I was even considering cameras that were probably more than double the price of this. Now, the reason I decided to buy a camera in general is because all my YouTube videos so far that I've been filming on a Canon 600D, which I believe in the US it might be called the Rebel T3i, possibly. Something like that, but in Australia it's a 600D. It's a great camera, it can take great photos, and you know, even though I do have this G7 now, if I was to pick a camera between the two to probably go out and take photos with and have a bit of fun with, I'd probably still take the 600D because it's a great camera. And even video, it can do quite good video. I'm filming on it right now. As you can see, the picture quality is still quite good. It looks quite professional still. But the reason I decided to upgrade the camera is because this camera doesn't have continuous autofocus. And I've been noticing now and then in videos, particularly probably the vlogs and things like that, that I'm not doing too much of at the moment, but I do plan on doing a bit more later on, is I really want that continuous autofocus. There's times where I just want to sit the camera over there and while I'm doing things it focuses on me, but it just doesn't. I'll show you what I mean. I'll come up close, see that I'm a little bit out of focus there. It doesn't continuously autofocus on my face. With this camera, while it does have autofocus, you need to press the shutter button. And as you can see here, it's not doing a very great job of it. Then come back. Takes a long time, goes in and out. It's a bit old school now. 600D, I think, for videos probably just doesn't cut it anymore, unless of course you're physically behind the camera all the time or doing videos like this, then the 600D is fine. But I want to go a little bit further. I want continuous autofocus, and I think more and more nowadays videos are going towards 4K. And most newer Canons still don't do 4K, let alone this old 600D I'm using right now. So I thought, time to get a new camera. I didn't really want to spend over $2,000 or so on a new camera. So I was looking at Canon, Sony's, Panasonic. I'm not a big, I don't care what brand necessarily, I'm just after a good camera that's good value. With the Canons, I was sort of looking at the 750, 800D sort of range, the 70D, 80D, and the benefits to those is the newer Canons do have great autofocus, the dual pixel autofocus, which is really good. The only better autofocus is probably on the Sony's. It has a flip out screen, which is what I really wanted as well, so you can see yourself while you're filming. But as I was saying before, the Canons just don't have 4K, so I didn't really want to go and buy a new camera and then for it not to have 4K. I mean, am I going to film from now on in 4K? No, I'm not. So you ask, why get a 4K camera then? Because that's just the way videos are sort of going. But it does have really good battery life. My other options were from Sony, the A6300 and A6500 I was considering. They, in my opinion, have the best quality picture. They have 4K, they have the best autofocus in my opinion. But the reason I didn't go the Sonys was because, number one, it didn't have a flip out screen. So, particularly when I'm vlogging and I'm moving it around, I just can't see where I'm putting the camera. You know, I could be to the side of the screen speaking and I won't know because I can't see. Even in videos like this, I wouldn't necessarily know 100% that I would be in the picture because I can't see the screen and what I'm filming. So that was a bit of a letdown for me. I really want Sony to bring a flip out screen. And my second bad point about the Sonys that sort of turned me off a little bit was they tend to overheat a bit, particularly the A6300 and the A6500. The A7S2s and things like that, they're much better in that respect, I think. But I didn't want to go and spend $3,000–4,000 on a camera to be filming with. And then again, it still doesn't have a flip out screen. So my biggest thing was a flip out screen. If the A63 and the A6500 had a screen, I probably would have bought that. If I was making professional videos, I would probably definitely buy Sony because I'd be behind the camera at that point and the flip out screen doesn't really matter so much. But yeah, that's what turned me off the Sonys. Now onto the Panasonics. With the Panasonics, I was thinking between the G7 and the G85 or G80 in some countries. And the way I saw the Panasonics was they had good picture quality, probably a little bit under the Sonys. They shoot 4K. They have a flip out screen and has okay autofocus. They're good value for money, but the autofocus was probably the point on the Panasonics that I was debating if it's worth it or not. It's not bad, but it's not Sony level. It's probably better than some of the other cameras out there, but the dual pixel autofocus in the Canons and the autofocus in the Sonys is much better than the Panasonic version, at least in the G7 and G85. So pretty much in my mind I decided that Panasonic was probably the way I was going to go. It was just deciding between the G7 and the G85. The G85 was about $1,200 Australian, whereas the G7 I ended up picking up for like $600 with the kit 14-42 lens on it, zoom lens, which was really, it was like practically half the price of the G85, and they're near identical cameras with a lot of the technology in it. It's just the main difference between the two is the G85 is weather sealed, so if you're going out and taking it into the rain, this one will probably stop working, whereas the G85 won't. And the G85 has the in-body image stabilization as well as the image stabilization in the lens, and the G7 only has image stabilization in the lens. So the G85 might be a little bit smoother when you're vlogging and walking around with it. But other than that, they weren't too much different. And I thought for half the price, I could buy this, get a few more lenses on it, be a little bit more versatile with some of the things I film, get some longer lenses, get some shorter lenses. You know, the G7 just seemed to be the best value for money. Let's have a little look at it for a second. It's quite small. It's very light. But even though it's small and light, I find that I'm holding it like this, but it's still quite grippy, not coming out of my hand, and I'm not even like holding it fully or properly. Like, it's got a good firm grip in your hand. It's got that flip out screen that you can like turn around, do whatever you want with. Yeah, let's swap over to the G7 and I'll show you what I meant by the autofocus is okay. Alright, now we're on the Panasonic Lumix G7 and I'll show you the autofocus in a second. I forgot to say one thing with the G7 and why I like it. See, the big DSLRs like the Canons, like even the 600D, this one, they are quite big and heavy, and even though I was thinking about going the 80D, the 80D is bigger and heavier than this again, and like really when you put these two cameras together, like this is so much bigger and heavier. I really like the compact size of the G7 and the Sony A6300s and the mirrorless cameras. I think they're just so much better now. DSLRs are still fun. They're still good, reliable sort of workhorse cameras, and definitely not going to throw it away. Yeah, now I'll show you what I mean by the autofocus. Now that camera, when I come in close like this, then it'll normally be out of focus, whereas now as it's in focus, I come back and then the Panasonic will focus in on me, but it's a little bit slower than what the Sony would be. The Sony, I come in like this, you see it's a little bit out of focus for a little bit, whereas Panasonic just has that little bit of lag to its autofocus, but you know, I can live with that. I don't mind that. I'm quite happy with the G7. The picture quality is quite good. You can probably see like nasal hairs. I'm pretty good looking. I can see that. Yeah, it's a great little camera for the money you spend on a Panasonic Lumix G7. I mean, why wouldn't you buy a Panasonic Lumix G7? Even if it was just to play around with, you know, 4K, continuous autofocus, flip out screen. Even if you have like a Sony A7S II or something as your main shooting camera, why not buy a little 600 G7S as like B-roll on the side and to take some different angles or something? I mean, these are amazing for the price you pay. I've seen reviews on YouTube of the quality of picture that come out of these G7s, just comparing to cameras $3,000 and $3,500, and they're just, the quality sometimes on the G7s is a little bit better. They're a great camera. So anyway, thanks for watching, and thumbs up if you liked the video, and subscribe if you liked the video and want to watch some more of my videos. I actually am going to do a little bit more camera stuff coming up, and gonna do some more camera videos. So if you like this video, you're gonna like some of the ones I'm coming up with next. So subscribe to the channel, watch some of my other videos, and they might interest you, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.